there's a truth to no budget filmmaking or really independent filmmaking. And maybe it's a truth that applies to all levels of filmmaking, but I think it particularly applies to no budget filmmaking, and that is you have to do everything on your own. Now, I don't just mean that, you're going to write and direct and you're going to cast everyone. Um, I mean everything. Because when you hear the term writer director, or I'm an independent writer director, you think, oh, they write and they direct. Maybe they have friends who act in it. Maybe they have friends who do the sound. Maybe they have friends who edit. Um, that's not the case. Usually, what the case is you are doing literally everything. So, not only are you writing, directing, um, coordinating the movie, I mean, you're scheduling the movie that you're making. You are picking up groceries for the food that you're going to feed your crew with. You are buying the props. You're going on Amazon. You're searching online. You're going to thrift stores, trying to find anything you need for your movie. You're editing your movie. And when I say editing, I don't just mean you lock the picture and put all the video and sync it all up. No, I mean you are doing the sound design. You're doing the color correction. You might be doing the music. You're doing literally everything. And I don't know how to make that more abundantly clear. That when you are making movies at this level, where you don't have a big budget, where you don't have a huge crew, expect to do everything because you're probably going to have to do everything. Um, and let's take an example from my experiences of making movies. So the movie I'm making right now, Two Little Ghosts, has animated sequences in it. I don't think I could have gone to an animator and had them animated the sequences I wanted. Well, first off, the whole movie, the feature film that I'm making, was supposed to be entirely 2D animated. Um, that's kind of a ridiculous quest to ask someone to do, animate my entire movie for me. So I can't expect someone to animate my movie. Nor could I expect someone to do it for free. I mean, if it's a friend, maybe they might be willing to. But if it's someone who's a professional expecting to be paid, you got to pay them, because you can't expect someone to do it for free. And so if I was able to pay someone, even if money wasn't an issue, I would still have to kind of wait on that person. My entire movie depends on that one person. And that's kind of a scary thing when you're an independent filmmaker. And so, the whole reason how the animated stuff came about in Two Little Ghosts, it's kind of an interesting, kind of not related, but my point is I learned to animate, to do 2D animations. I learned how to do 3D animations for Two Little Ghosts. I learned how to do that for this movie because I knew I could depend on myself. Because in life, you might not always agree with this. I don't even agree with it all the time, but I find more often than not, when it comes to your film and movie making, the only person you can 100% depend on is yourself. And that's not to say I don't have great collaborators and great friends who I work with all the time, because I do. And I love it. It's an awesome part about filmmaking, is getting to work with people. But this is something we've said before, is that no one cares about your movie more than you do. And that's just a fact. That's the truth. I don't care about the bell rings as much as Ethan does, because that's his movie. I care about it deeply. I care about it probably the most out of anybody else in the world. I probably care about it the second, but I still don't care about it as much as Ethan does, because it's his movie. Same with him. He doesn't care about Two Little Ghosts as much as I do. And that's just how it is, because these films came from us. And films are a collaborative medium, and you kind of have to work with people. And what you learn when you make movies is that people will eventually disappoint you. And we've learned this the hard way. We've also just learned this from observing other things. And that's not throwing shade at anybody we've worked with, but just people just in general and in life will disappoint you. And so sometimes you're sitting on an almost finished film for a really long time because you're waiting on someone else, or you can't do the next shoot date because someone can't make it, an actor cancels, or your editor cancels editing and you can't edit. So rather than sit around and just kind of feel sorry for yourself and you say, oh gee, why do I can't get this movie made, I can't finish it, blah 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 blah. That's It's way better just to do it yourself, because you can always fall back on yourself when it comes to making movies. You can always depend on yourself. And that's not to say that you should only work with yourself, you should only do everything, um, because I think it's a whole lot easier if you have a team behind you. But I think as a filmmaker, you should expect to have to do everything. And I guess the overall point I'm trying to make with this video is that when you go into a movie, kind of plan for, having to do everything yourself. If you're coming up with a story, don't expect to, you know, get access to your friend's parents' uncle's house and maybe they'll say yes. You're depending on the other person. What's something that you have access to? Write a story that takes place there. If you don't really have anybody that you're friends with who knows how to use a camera, and you don't know any good cinematographers, pick up a camera and film the movie yourself. If you don't have any actors, you're going to have to act yourself. If you don't know how to edit, you're going to have to learn to edit yourself. If you if you don't have catering, you don't have money for catering, you're going to have to go to the store and get some stuff to make some sandwiches with, all by yourself. You're going to have to plan to do everything yourself. And what I would recommend to all filmmakers in that situation, if you can find a team of collaborators who care about filmmaking and get something creatively, spiritually, whatever, they get something out of the process of filmmaking. Surround yourself with those people who love it as much as you do. Love the process as much as you do. They don't have to love the movie as much as you do, because no one's ever going to love the movie as much as you will. But find people who love the process of making movies as much as you will. Those people disappoint very rarely. And if something comes up, it's usually because something is really serious. Ethan, May, Zach, Phil, Travis. I mean, there's so many collaborators we've worked with who I can depend on and count on every time, because I know they love it and they get something out of it. And they're when they're there to, create and play and have fun. And there's also, I know this video is kind of about you have to do everything yourself, but you also don't have to. Plan to collaborate. Try to collaborate. Try to get out there. Try to meet new people and mingle with other creatives and do things with them. But understand that a great backup plan, or maybe not a backup plan, or maybe just, mentally prepare yourself for having to do everything in case you have to. Again, I'm pulling from real life here. There are sequences in Video Carnage that, had Ethan edited the movie, it would be a lot more work for me to try to explain what I was trying to do and then have Ethan edit it, rather than just me sit down and edit it myself, because no one knows the sequences more than I do. And if Ethan edits it and he doesn't do it right, I'm just going to get in there and I'm going to edit it myself anyway. So I think a great backup plan for any filmmaker is just to plan to do everything yourself, or prepare to do everything yourself. I know some of the points I'm making is kind of contradictory. There's instances when you should do everything yourself, and there's also instances that you shouldn't do everything yourself. Again, filmmaking is a collaborative medium, but I think it's something that you as a filmmaker, you should understand that whenever you go into a project, I never plan out anything that I know I can't do myself. Oh Brother is probably the prime example. I wrote it, I acted in it, I shot it, I edited it, I did all the visual effects, I did literally everything in that movie. No one else was involved in making of that movie except for me. Everything was done by myself because I didn't plan to, you know, have anybody else on set because we were in quarantine. Um, and you should take that mentality with you on every project you work on. It's just a good habit because also as a leader, it's a really good principle, I believe, as a leader that I would not ask anybody, I wouldn't ask my crew to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. So if I'm going to ask an actor to get up on front of hundreds of people and do something embarrassing like get pantsed or like tell a goofy joke or get, you know, spaghetti spilled over nice soup, I wouldn't. That's nothing. I would. It's good leadership to do that and demonstrate that first, and not ask anybody to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. Now, of course, there's limits to that, of course, and it varies situation to situation, but it kind of comes back to that principle. I think that's something that a lot of good leaders have, is that they don't ask their people who follow them or their crew to do something that they wouldn't do themselves. And I think when you make a movie, if you're not willing to write, schedule, prep, cater food, shoot, act and score and edit and all that stuff, if you're not willing to do any of that, how can you expect anyone else to work with you in your movie? If that's not something you're not willing to do yourself. And so that's just something I've been thinking about. I'm not sure if my ramblings made sense. This is kind of a rambly video. Just some of my thoughts on, I guess, doing stuff on your own in filmmaking and the collaborative nature of filmmaking, kind of what that all means, and what that means for you as a filmmaker and for your crew. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit like, hit subscribe. It means a lot to us, and it only takes a couple seconds out of your day, but we have some really cool stuff coming. We got some feature films coming out. We got some cool videos on films and filmmaking every single week. We got a podcast, and if you're looking for a place where you want to hear about films and filmmaking and see some cool stuff, this is the place. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you on the next video.